Hello and welcome to another video. This one is a little bit different in that it's not a game. It's more of a design plan for a model railroad. So I have been thinking of building a model railroad for a while now, and over the last few weeks I have gotten right into some of the design planning aspects of it, watching a lot of YouTube videos. And I mean a lot of YouTube videos, so much so that now all of my recommendations on YouTube are basically train videos. And what I have decided to do is look at my room layout and decide what I can actually fit in. There are a number of decision points that I have struggled with, I'm not going to lie. Um, One of them is scale, of course. There are different scales of model railroad you can do from, well, really N scale and HO or double O, depending on which country you're in, are the two most popular scales. HO, let's say for example, is the most popular scale, and N scale is the next one down. N scale is smaller, and you can fit more in terms of track, and it's better for scenery development, that sort of thing. So after much deliberation and consideration, I have decided to settle on a design in N scale just because I can fit more into the limited space that I have available, which is the main driver for why people go with N scale. Uh, Now that's just one decision. Another decision is what kind of track to use. Now there are multiple different types of track that you can use. Flexi track is probably the most, well, let's just say traditional track, and that's where you buy like lengths of track, and you can bend them, you can form them to whatever sort of shape you want within reason. The issues around that is, whilst it does give you the flexibility, such as in the name flex track, there is more construction involved, which is not a bad thing if you enjoy that, and I do, and so that's why I've agonized over this choice. You tend to need to put down a road bed, typically made of cork or a synthetic material, onto which you place the flex track, on which you then need to tack down, glue down, pin down, however you want to do it. And then beyond that, you then need to apply the ballast. Now, then the alternative to that are set track pieces, and the what seems to be the most popular and most widely used one for that is the Kato unit track. Kato unit track are basically pieces of track which are of a specific and immutable shape, straight or curved. Many different varieties out there that you can get. And this is basically as it's described. It's set. It's a set piece of track that you then need to basically join together. The advantages of that is that you don't have to go through the fairly extensive track laying process of cork or synthetic road bed and then track and then ballast and so on. You can basically clip it together and off you go. And as the fellow at Aurora Trains here in Brisbane said to me when I popped in the other day with my friend Nick, he said it's bulletproof. And I've seen that a lot on the online videos, in that you clip it together, it's great, minimal derailment issues. If you don't like the layout, you can just unclip it and reshape it. Uh, and that has got a lot of benefits going for it. It's more expensive than FlexTrack, but when you build up the cost of constructing FlexTrack, particularly if you make mistakes and have to redo things, from what I understand, it basically levels out. Now, the one issue with Kato Unitrack is that it is considered to be a little bit plasticky, a little bit toy-like looking. But and again, this adds a cost, but you can ballast it, and you can make it so that it looks realistic, particularly with the addition of scenery and other components. Anyway, I have gone through multiple designs, and I have settled, for want of a better reason or a better explanation, on Kato Unitrack for this particular um, layout because I do want that flexibility. I do want the flexibility to be able to bring the track back up again if I don't like it. I also like the fact that it's bulletproof, so to speak. It clips together. There's not all the soldering involved. There's not all the track laying involved. I don't know whether I have the patience for that at this particular point in time. I would like to get a track design down. I would like to run trains. And Kato Unitrack kind of does meet that requirement. So anyway, here we are. I've got a design here. Now this is the size of my room as it stands. I have this. I'm just going to fill it with an orange color. I have a desk here, an orange desk. I have the computer desk, which is what I'm sitting at now, which is, I'm just going to color that green so you can see that nice and easily. And I have essentially two doorway entrances, which I'll just color in black now. Now this program, incidentally, is called Anyrail. It's very powerful. If you're interested in model railroad design, I've been playing with this for a couple of weeks, and I've got to say it's fantastic. I bought the license for it. It's not cheap. It's about 80 or 90 Australian dollars, which I ummed and ahed about for a while, but I tried the free version, and you only get a certain, like 50 items to put down, 50 pieces of track, 50 buildings, or not, like total 50 track, buildings, whatever it is, and you run out of that very quickly, so it's quite... So anyway, this is my room. This is the space I have. I need space in the middle to move around, obviously, and have a desk with chairs and so on. And this is the L-shaped layout that I've kind of allowed myself within this particular space. So to give a bit of an idea about this track design, I've taken into consideration a number of things that I would like to do. I would like to have a couple of different categories of railroad associated with it. I don't know if this is a universal categorization, but in the US I understand they have like category 1, category 2, category 3. Category 1 is like the mainline trains, you know, a couple of miles worth of coal, you know, freaking gondolas or whatever it is behind it. So they're the big boys. And then you've got category 2 and category 3. Category 2 and 3 sequentially less valuable railroads, which are transporting fewer and fewer goods to closer and closer destinations, basically. So I wanted to have something which can facilitate a category 1 style railroad, but yet also have the option for lower category local lines doing switching. Because I love the idea of operations within a railroad. You know, I have no interest in just having a single loop of track with a train going around and around and around in circles. I would like to have that option, but I would also really like to have operations where you have a train come in and then you've got a puzzle, basically, which opens up a whole wide range of possibilities for just basically pissing away an entire day fiddling with trains and forgetting the rest of the world exists, because let's face it, who wants to pay attention to the rest of the world at the moment? So this is what I've basically come up with through a whole series of iterations, reformations, redesigns. And if I do end up posting this on YouTube, I'll leave the comments open, and if anyone does watch this and has any interest or comments to make, you're more than welcome to make them, as long as they're respectful, because I am really keen to hear possibilities to improve this layout, because it's taken me a while to get here and I'm pretty happy with it. But anyway, so without further ado, what I'd like to do is just describe some of the rationale as to how I've come up with this. So like I say, I want kind of like a main line that can run through. I want the option to have, while I'm fiddling around with switching and operations, a train just to do loops on constant, just as that interest's sake. And I want a yard. And I would like, the other thing that I really wanted was a intermodal exchange. So basically where a train can come in and transfer its cargo to another form of transport, such as trucks or ship. And I'm kind of probably going to go with trucking at this stage, rather than a ship. But I'm leaving myself open to that. Now, this is the general plan is the size is 4 meters, 4 meters in total length as depicted here, 400, that's in centimeters. 4 meters for the total length that way, 2.3 meters this way, and a total depth of this unit here of 85 centimeters, so not quite a meter, and 50 centimeters over here. Now the reason why I've kept them relatively narrow is for ease and practicability of actually placing track on the board. You know, if you have like a table which is like 1.5 meters deep, how the hell am I going to reach across the other side unless I can actually walk to the other side, which I can't because it's up against the wall. So I've tried to limit the depth of the layout, which is why I've gone with N scale as well. Now we've got okay, so the idea here, let me just take you through what I've come up with. If you've made it this far, well done. Now here we have, this is essentially an outbound track. It's kind of a bit wonky here, but I might modify some of the curves here just to make them tighter. Might bring that in a bit, for example. Anyway, so this is the track to the outside world, so to speak. This is part of the main line off to another town or another thing. And I think that that's, from a lot of what I've been seeing on YouTube videos, connect your railroad to the outside world. It just makes it, places it within a broader context. So essentially it comes in here. Connects onto this one here. Now it has a number of options. Now my main line, I don't think I can color these a different color. I don't think so, but it would be good if I could, but I can't figure that out how to do that if I can. So it basically comes in, if you can see the cursor, comes in, and it can cross over here. Now to get onto the main line of the track, which I'm modeling here, it would cross over this double crossover, and it would go around here, this central track here, this loop around here, this one here, around here, around here. So this is basically the option for it to go. This inner loop is essentially the main line. And this would be if I had a train running continuously, it would run continuously on this. But what it has is a series of options. It comes in on the main line here, where I've got the green switch here, and it can jump onto the main line. Whoops. Ah, frickin' hell. Or it can cross, it can stay here on the right hand, this right hand one here, and it can drop off its consist. It can drop off its consist straight away on this outer line here, this one. And then it can continue on doing whatever it wants. So let's say that's the first option. Comes in with a nice big load of, I don't know, whatever, tanks or boxcars or whatever it is that go to the various industries. Just going to move these down, just realize that. And then it can go on its way. Or it can come in, cross over this one here, and then cross straight over into here. And cross and drop off its consist over here. There's a couple of options. Or it can continue on, comes through here, comes up around here, comes up around, I'm just trying to highlight this in case the cursor isn't particularly clear, comes up around here, and it can go onto this outer track up here, can switch across off the main line onto this siding up here, and it can then potentially reverse its way in here onto the into the yard which is this one across the side. It then reverses itself into here, into this arrival departures track here. It can reverse it in here. It can then disconnect from the consist, decouple, and then come back out and go in here. If there's another consist, so this is another arrival departure here, this one here, to the left of the main one. It can then pick up something that's already here, that's been assembled, and it can then leave. It can then leave over here. It can leave back out. How does it get out off the track again though? Because here, it's coming out this way in a anti-clockwise direction. It would come back out this way, right? How the hell does it get back off? Well, that's what this reverser is in this. That's what this is here for. So it would come back out, go around the outside or the inside. It could change over. It's either one or the other. It doesn't matter. That's why the options are here. It then goes all the way around here as if it was just trundling along on its merry way. It then goes past here. It then switches left at this point here. Switches left. Comes down through this way. Comes through this way, through all these various switches and what have you. Comes back onto this track. This inside track. Now it's running, if you'll observe, in a clockwise direction. Comes back through this way. Back through this way. So on and so forth. Belts through the main line, connects across, goes across this crossing here, and then straight back out onto the main line, out off the track. So that's a couple of ways that a mainline train can come in. It can come in, it can basically pull in here, it can pull in here, it can go straight onto can maintain its mainline trajectory, it can cross over here and reverse in. But it can also go head in. So it comes in here, like so, goes around this way. If it wants to move headways in, it just continues on this track here, comes around on the outside, the inside, correction, comes around on the inside, switches across to the inside, and then goes into the reverser the other direction. So it then goes through direction there, comes in here, comes up to there, crosses here, goes headways in this way, so the engine is at the front. So now let's say, for example, this is my train here. So I'm just going to ungroup this. Let's say this is my engine here. I've done like a little sort of mock-up of a train. The purple is the engine, is the power. So that then comes into here. Whoops. Comes into here like so. Comes into here like that. Okay? Then, lo and behold, the engine's at the front. It can't get out. Well, you know it can, because all it needs to do, if we just ungroup, whoops, it then detaches, drives down here, switch back, and we've got ourselves a run around. There we go. Okay, so then the engine can run around, run back up this way, and oops, and can come back out, can do whatever it wants. Or it can go, and then down here we have got basically the tracks for storage tracks in the yard. This will just be assembly points, things to be kept, basically all of that. I've got a crossover here so that if an engine does end up stuck down at the end of either of these two stub tracks, it can cross back out if there's space. This one's just a pure like stub track, no reverser. Oh, sorry, no run around. I could potentially put one in actually. I hadn't thought about it. I could put one in on that side. I could put one in so a switch comes out here. I might do that. I don't know. That's the beauty of the Kato track. Okay, so then we've got over here, what it can do then is we can, basically your mainline train will come in and it'll dump its load here and it'll get the hell out. Then there'll be a yard switcher. Yard switchers will basically live up here. This will be where they just stow. Here we've got an engine shed. Here we've got a couple of tracks. They can be repair in place or rip tracks. They can then come out, come up here, pick up the consist, start breaking it apart, storing it away in here, and so on and so forth. There's down here, this is a freight terminal. So this will be essentially, just going to reposition that slightly. This will be where things can be brought in, loaded up, taken off, and so on and so forth. Here, this one is not modeled in Anyrail or represented in one of the models that you can get by downloading. This is like an intermodal crane. So the idea here would be down here I'd have like a road come in, parking area, trucks, all of that. So then this intermodal crane could move backwards and forwards and essentially pick up containers and put them onto trucks in this general area here. So you got all of this kind of like switching and freight movements happening in this yard over here. Up here, you've got your storage, repair in place, and so on and so forth, where the locos can live if they're not sort of associated with here. Now, this is where the other interesting stuff happens, because over here, within the track, we've basically got all of the other industries. So the idea being is that a mainline train will come in, drop off its consist either here, here, or over here in the yard or in one of these ones, these sidings here. And then we're going to have a shunter. Shunters living over in the main yard, or a shunter could also live over here. Now this is where, this is like another railroad would be living over here. So maybe I put like an engine house in here or something like that. Shunter lives in one of these tracks here. Probably this one. This one's kind of like a yard lead, which facilitates the movement of cars and units out of here, primarily out of here, because this is where it's going to be doing its work. If it needs to, it can go and pick up stuff from here. Actually, I might move that switch over to there, because then it can... Oh no, it probably won't make that much difference. Okay, then it can start moving things around here. So here we've got a few industries. This one is a interstate fuel company, and then this one is a gas and supply. So I've got my various sort of fuel and gas companies here, which will be taking primarily tank cars. Will be like parked in here or so on. Might put another spur in, potentially, or not, I don't know. Coming off this reverser track here, I've got a whole wide range of switches and tracks coming off. Now, what have I got in here? Here I've got a, this one is a lumber. I'm basically using all of the Walters N-gauge structures at the moment. I'll probably look at other companies' providers for structures to see what works best. But the Walters, there's quite a good range and they look quite nice. So I've just been using those at the moment to get a sense of scale. So that's a lumber company. So we can have some switching, placing, a couple of cars in here to pick up some lumber. Over here we've got a cement company. So we've got a big cement towers there. So potentially a few cement hoppers also could go in there. So that's a different. So we've got lumber. So we can put flat cars in there. We can put big kind of gondolas or hoppers. I'm not sure what the cement companies would use. Someone will probably tell me. Then over here we've got a furniture company, a hardwood furniture company. So we've got, basically we've got some interchanges here going on. So we've got a lumber company here, and we've got a furniture company here. So the lumber company might be wanting to take some things to getting some stuff across to the hardwood company. Over here we've got a couple of other things. This one is is called Vulcan Manufacturing by Walters. So that's basically a general manufacturing firm. Anything could go in there. Who knows? They could be manufacturing whatever. Over here we have a printers. This is a brick industry printer facility, basically printing stuff on paper. So we'll have a bit of a paper requirement here. Now there are other sort of factories out there that could be incorporated into this, such as paper mills, lumber, logging yards, that sort of thing. I was thinking of doing a purely wood, paper, lumber theme, but I'd like a bit of variety. So which is why I've gone with a couple of a lumber, paper, hardwood. So we've got a few industries there that can link together. Cement, that's something a bit different, and manufacturing and tank cars. So this means that we've got a number of industries within the layout which are different kind of cars, different kind of transport, which can interact with each other. But we've got the link to the outside world here, which means that anything can come in, because we've got anything can come in from the outside world. There could be a power plant out there, there could be a steel mill out there. Who the hell knows? It means we can bring in anything. And the other thing is we've got an intermodal here. So we've got transportation from the outside world onto trucks. So we have anything can come in from there, and then it could be transported over to here for anything to go out. Similarly, anything could be theoretically brought in by the trucks to be dropped off here, to be picked up by a train here, and either brought to one of the local industries here, or loaded up and actually then taken back out through the connection to the outside world here. So what I think I may have struck on here is a reasonably good balance of the potential to run essentially mainline trains on like a constant loop, bring them in from the outside and take them back out again, combined with a variety of internal industries that speak to each other, but also potentially link in with the outside world via either the intermodal connections here or the externally connected rail line which goes out to the top left. There's option for lots of switching, lots of operations in combined with that. Now this is all done with the Kato unitrack suite of things. So that's the great thing about this program, it seems, is that it provides all of the different options of the track which you can purchase from Kato. It's not just Kato, it's Pico, it's all the other different track types, the manufacturers, Walters. You can go to the user object libraries and you've got all of these ones here, for example, Sylvan, Tomix, Traincat, Wiesmann, Volmer, Metcalf, Pike stuff. I mean, all of these different, Hornby, of course, classic Hornby, Lilliput, Fleischmann, Atlas. So they've incorporated like so many of the different structures. Like, for example, if I say, show me Hornby, it brings up the Hornby, some of the Hornby range. Not as much. There's like a terminus building. Okay, you just click that and just plops it right in. It's the correct scale. Something else I just do want to show is I just clear out a couple of these things here. So if you clear them all out, you've got like the full. What's pretty neat about this, oh, that's the other thing before I do that, is I don't have any elevation on this, no up down. I know that's a really nice thing to add, but in the first instance, I just really wanted to do this all like single level, just to start with. I may consider doing multi-level at some point. I don't know. I'm just still trying to get used to this program. But another thing that's really cool is you click on the 3D button and it shows you your layout in 3D, which is quite good. And you can click mouse and arrow keys, and you can basically do a fly through your layout. So you can kind of go, all right, well, I haven't done any elevation like I've said, including of the table. So you can go, all right, well, this is how it's going to look. Do my curves look okay? Does the position of the industries look like they are taking up too much space, too little? So it's really quite a neat function within this program that you can essentially scroll through like this and follow the path that your track will go just to see how it's going to look. And I think that's pretty neat. I don't know. Getting that three-dimensional layout is really quite a powerful way to see whether your layout is going to look and feel like it's going to work. So you can do that. You can do things like you can change the sky, if you really want to, or no sky. Cloud is fine. Which is great, which is really nice. And you go back to 2D view. So this is a really long video for what I thought was just going to be a short, quick show. So I'm going to bring it to an end there. It's half an hour. But that's essentially, if anyone's watching this, if anyone has an interest in model trains, by all means leave a comment if you like, particularly if you see something which would be a better idea. Bear in mind, I haven't considered, what I might do next is thinking about putting in where roads would go, potentially some civilian buildings. We've got a bit of what potentially is, some, roads could go in over here between the furniture factory, the printing factory. Who knows? Once I start doing that, it might actually ruin this entire plan, and it might work out to be garbage. But that's I'm mostly, like I say, interested in operations. Before I do go, I will say that these are, if you're wondering, these are platforms, passenger platforms. Now I'm considering putting in a couple of passenger platform arrangements. You know, maybe one there, maybe one over here. I don't know. I'm inclined not to. I mean, I could put one also over here, like at the front, so like a passenger line could come in through this way. That will give the option for, you know, a passenger train to come in, but there's no need to really worry about that too much. I could always do that down the line if I feel like putting a passenger train in, which just does basically a continuous loop around, as another point of interest. So I don't know what this would be like to wire up. That's the other thing. Wiring could be ridiculously complicated. The idea that I have at the moment is not to do all of this at once. The idea is to have this as my background base plan, and to essentially, because I'm like new returning to model railroading, is to essentially construct loop number one, like a big loop that just goes around, or maybe this inner loop here, and just leave it at that, you know, in the first instance, because that, until I'm, you know, comfortable with how the, you know, the wiring and the control and the, you know, whether I want to actually progress with this as a hobby, who knows? I could get everything down. I could build this huge loop and get bored of it instantly, or find that it's too difficult, or I get distracted by other things. So I'm going to basically build, the idea being, well, like one loop in the first instance, spend not too much money, get a loop, get a loco, wire it up, and away I go. One thing that I do want to try is that I'm pretty convinced I'll do is the DCC control system, which basically means that each locomotive has got its own address, which you can connect to. Which, unlike the old DC system, DCC allows, I think it's a digital command control or something like that it stands for. You can control multiple locomotives independently doing things on the same track. So that's certainly what I'm interested in, and you can connect this up to your PC and also up to a mobile phone via app, which just is, you know, such a leap forward from when I used to play with trains as a kid with my dad. So I'm going to look at that probably as the. So I'd like to master that, or come to terms with that, with a single loop. But what I think is important is to have a master plan, something that, you know, I can work towards as I invest money into it over time, and interest over time, and then start to, of course, you know, scenery, ballasting, even if I do use the Kato unitrack, all of that over time. So anyway, I thought I'd just do a little bit of an update, of what I've been doing recently, for anyone who might be interested. Like I say, comments are welcome. Respectful as always. Constructive is preferable. Even if it's to say, yeah, that looks like a good plan, progress, or that is a shocking idea. What you really need to do is X, Y, or Z, in which case I'd be super happy to take that on board, because, yeah, like I say, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, but I'm always open to learn more, particularly from people who've been there, done that, and have more to say about a matter. Anyway, for those of you who have made it this far, thank you for watching. Um, Everyone at this point in videos usually says, please like and subscribe. I don't care. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like it. I'm really only doing this just to pass the time, and I enjoy it. So with that said, thanks very much, and I'll catch you at another video at some point. Bye.